Tevez da solo, Tevez al limite dell'area, fa fuori tutti, Tevez, si apre la porta, Tevez, gol, da dietro, Pirlo dentro,
God, that new intro.
Yes, this really gets the blood pumping, doesn't it?
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. Goal calls, a
too.
little bit, some decent little beats there behind it. Let's go. Let's go. So Juve versus Fiorentina, second leg, semifinal, Coppa Italia. Okay. Myself, Anthony, Omer, ready to get everybody set for this thing. And yes, real quick reminders for everybody that's going to be checking out this Matchday live that we've got show some love for the sponsor, stripedtartsapparel.com. The tripletta teaser out. They put a little teaser out yesterday on something coming out honoring Mr. Lippi. And then, of course, everybody hit the subscribe button because what we're going to be giving away is this Black Away of Vlahovic kit. And it's going to be given away to one YouTube subscriber. Okay, so I had a couple people reach out and say, I'm not on social media. How do I get this? You don't have to be. It's going to literally be something as a thank you to all the subscribers. We have surpassed 1,800 subscribers. We're on that road to 2K. We're not far off. As a thank you from us to all of you, one subscriber will be winning this jersey. Okay, so yes, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. Now we've got Sarah. Good mornings to the usual suspects. We got Bob in here already. Jeremiah, ciao, Alex, ciao, and he's loving this shirt. Well, we got a little trivia involving Mr. Baggio, so I had to rock the old school Baggio kit. So yes, let's see here. Best followers, primes, views. What is this? Get this out of here, Twitch. Deepak, hi. Hi, Deepak. Okay. Omar, those birds learned their lesson after that last live view and nice and silent today.
I cut their branch off. No, seriously, they had their nest was on one of the branches, so I cut it off.
Yeah.
They're interrupting my morning. It has nothing to do with the podcast. I just couldn't sleep.
Oh man, it was awesome. That was awesome. A lot of good laughs. We got a lot of good comments. People enjoying that, having a good laugh about it. It was awesome. Michael jumping in here. Now OFG, I'm excited for later. Let's go. So we got Juventus Fiorentina. We're going to tackle the news first. Okay, so we've had some interesting news. Obviously, from the Bologna match, there is a bit of carryover in terms of the news as everybody was very, very excited about Del Piero and his return to the actual stadium for the first time in 10 years. Obviously, now it's funny because media gets to work and the media is basically pumping out some scenario situations, and you see this Instagram post about Juventus ready to lead or ready to revolutionize everything and Del Piero ready to step in, and him liking this Instagram post, and everybody's going in all sorts of directions saying he could potentially be like that Bonaparti role when he had it. There's so much that needs to happen for this to go down that I don't see it happening. However, I mean, wouldn't be surprised, but we know what would have to happen in terms of the hierarchy for Del Piero to actually come in. Because did anybody else find it strange that he was like in this private area, but he was basically alone? Like you didn't see any of the other guys up there with him. Like you guys noticed that, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Was Agnelli even at that match?
Yeah, there was a moment where they met, shook hands. I don't know, maybe they hugged. I saw it in a photo. I didn't see it happening live. But it was all sort of weird, the reports that no one knew he came there, and then they knew, but right before the match, they had the shirts ready. I don't know, something was fishy
It's
about
really
that.
weird. Like Arriva Bene was apparently the only one in contact. They didn't put it out that he was going to be at the stadium. Like everybody literally finding out from his wife's like Instagram story that they posted. It's really strange.
This is great fodder for us to talk about, but at the end of the day, who cares? Like this is why whenever like old players they shove a microphone in their face. Oh, tell us about. I don't care what they say. I really don't care what they think. Now, Del Piero coming back in any sort of management capacity. Why? Unless Nedved leaves, but we've seen how Nedved works. Like, there's questions about what he does, but Lou wrote a good article about what Nedved does. So at least he comes back in some sort of player management liaison capacity. It's not happening.
But here's the thing: if we're hypothetically speaking about him coming back in that capacity, like Bonaberti was there, I don't really know if that's a good call.
Maybe just can you give people a heads up on what Bonaparte's position was? Maybe if people don't know.
Well, he was running things back then.
Right.
Like he was
Okay.
he was the head. He was like basically what
Arriva Bene.
Agnelli is today, essentially.
Agnelli or Riva Bene's job?
Okay, but back then he was the head above. He was last step ahead of the board. So he was essentially the same. But yeah, he was doing the sporting directing as well. So Del Piero coming in, I don't know. Like this guy just finished his coaching. By the way, getting the top marks along with De Rossi in his coaching, the coaching courses. So those two were the highest out of that class, and we saw all the players that were involved in that class. But I just don't know if it would feel so strange. This is the one thing that gets me with it, though. In today's day and age, and what I just saw go down with Pirlo, I almost don't want it to happen. That's my honest opinion. As much as it would be great to see Del Piero in some capacity, what I've seen from, number one, how we kind of act in terms of Nedved and myself, I've been guilty of it too, but especially Pirlo and whatnot. I don't know if I could take that with Del Piero. I simply couldn't. I couldn't take hearing things, about ADP and stuff. But what do you guys think? If you're in the same boat, like let him go do his coaching thing.
Yeah, I want him to coach first. Like, okay, we hired Pirlo, first time rookie coach, no management job before, and I don't know. The jury is still out on how it went for Pirlo. But some of the fans already made up their mind about him, and I don't want it happening with Del Piero. It doesn't always work out well, especially in a not like a coach role, somewhere in the management, the board. Like it means running a business. It's something you don't just get thrown into when you suddenly become great at because you were a great football player. Of course, there are arguments against it, and sometimes it works. For example, Maldini with Milan, but it's 1 in a million. Like you need experience in that area of managing an industry, and being a player is just not enough.
Like Chiellini. Chiellini has his master's in business. Chiellini coming back and working in some sort of capacity in management, because his brother's also, I believe, he's some sort of financier. I believe he works with Juventus as well, but that would make sense.
That makes more sense, and that will happen at some 100%. Point. I'm very, very sure Chiellini will be there in some capacity. The ADP thing, I think it's awesome for everybody to get jacked up about because of who he is. At the same time, it makes me really, really hesitant and probably something I honestly, at the end of the day, wouldn't want to see. But I'm kind of down with this based on how garbage they've been. Let's bring him in as a set piece coach, for the love of God. Actually, there was an awesome video. I posted it on our Twitter account of Del Piero joining F2 Freestylers on YouTube, doing a cool little video. And the guy challenged him and said, "Oh, you'll probably take about 3 or 4 tries to do this one, but it's a PK and it's off the post and then it has to hit the post." First crack, ADP walks up there and nonchalantly puts this thing upper 90 and just friggin' just a nice kiss up that post. It's awesome to see him do that and just having a lot of fun with it.
That's child's play. It's child's play for him. But I want to point out something about set pieces. I heard a few interviews with players, and all of them said that out of all the training they do, the worst one is training for set pieces. Mainly because it's boring as hell. Just you have to stand there and you need to shift everyone around to stand here and there. It's just boring. So a lot of teams don't put too much emphasis on it. So it's not like we're bad at it. Maybe it's just boring. They prefer to focus on other stuff in training.
Yeah. YFG's got he's getting a little frustrated at some negativity he's seeing out there, and basically saying that some Juventini are struggling to see us beat Fiorentina today. There is definitely a shift in where fans' confidence is with this team based on what we're seeing play. And honestly, I mean, you can understand it. You can
Rightfully
understand
so.
it. Yeah. So I kind of get that. But I'm not there today. I'm not there today. So YFG, stick around. Stick around. We'll be okay. Now, in terms of this presser leading up to this one, Arthur is dead, guys. So yeah,
Rest in
I
peace.
mean, unbelievable. Like
Man.
Max's pressers. It's so ridiculous. The whole thing, watching it unfold. So he literally said, Arthur è morto. And he stops, and you hear a couple chuckles from some of the journalists, and they carry on with questions. Nobody actually says, like, what's going on with Arthur?
That deserves a follow up. If any comment ever deserved a follow up, that one did.
I know they just left it, and they're like, on to the next question. I was like,
Oh, he's dead. Okay.
And a couple people were trying. It was very, very bizarre, very, very bizarre. So the Arthur dead thing just killed me. It's like, Allegri, man, like the guy's pressers are always pretty bad, but
They're
this
getting
one,
worse.
that comment was just unbelievable. No follow up from the media made me laugh. That part made me laugh. Coppa Italia, though, I do agree with what he said. And we saw this to a T during his dominant run when he was picking up the doubles. And you have him saying basically, Coppa Italia, nobody cares if you win it, but if you lose it, it's seen as a failure. So last season, even, that was one of the trophies Pirlo was able to pick up. And those that were backing Pirlo said, look, we got the Coppa Italia. And then you had that group, that fan base that continues to downplay the trophy and the Super Coppa that Pirlo was able to win, saying, oh, who cares? It's not the trophies we wanted. Well, I don't know. For me, it's very, very easy. Especially what we're going through now. It's easy to talk that way during a decade of dominance when you're rolling everyone domestically. But right now, like over these past few years, it really should be showing everybody not to take any trophy for granted. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on Max's words there, because I'm in full agreement. You really see this all the time. People continue to downplay that trophy, say they don't care, but yet they would probably not hesitate to hold it against him if he doesn't bag this one. So your guys' thoughts?
Okay, so the Coppa Italia is the sexiest trophy. But let's after the Scudetto, it's something that realistically we should target instead of Champions League, because we're just not a Champions League team. We know that we make our predictions. It's something that the fans want, but realistically, it should be Scudetto and Coppa Italia should be our targets every year. Some fans, obviously, it's secondary to the Scudetto. I get it, but it's still a trophy that has to be managed, right? It's a long season. Games kind of pop up, midweek. How do you manage your roster through those games, through Serie A games, and then Champions League games? So it's still an achievement that should be, it should be fans should be excited about if we win that, and it should be something that the fans should want to win, because the players go through a lot to get to. I know a lot of second string players play in these games, but we're second leg semifinal. The Inter's already in there. It's definitely something that the management's going to want to dust this one off today to get in there and get a little bit of vengeance on Inter for the Super Coppa game for sure.
Yeah. And Omer?
Yeah, I disagree with the fact that it means nothing. First of all, trophy, even for the young guys, I always believe is important. Like it was with Piero, it was McKennie's first trophy, Chiesa's first trophy. Some of these guys, it affects them. They know what it means to lose them and what it means to win them, and it drives them forward. It does matter, of course, it matters. Even financially, it's not a lot of money, but it's still a couple of millions. And what else can we say? It's a tournament. Everyone get an equal shot. No, if you not everyone, but the top tier teams get an equal shot at it, and then the guy who wins it should celebrate. There's no reason not to. And yeah, it sucks if you lose it. Can't argue against it.
Yeah. The one other thing we've got going here is we have to potentially block a domestic treble from the Snakes. Okay. So we got to stop Inter Mirta from getting an opportunity at a domestic treble. So that's big. That's really, really big for me especially. So let's get to some of these comments. Jeremiah coming in here saying, to be honest, it's very hard to be positive. Our overall performance this season has been horrible to watch. Allegri has lost it in his pressers, trying hard to find excuses to throw at the media. I definitely say the confidence thing is hard to find based on the performance being all over the place. There's a lot of Juventini that have turned on Max, who were protecting Max and backing Max. And, now they're kind of like, oh, I don't know. Look, everybody is to blame. We kind of cleared that up on our last pod. You guys definitely had valid concerns with Allegri. They're valid concerns. When you look at this team statistically, even just going back to last season, he's not instilling a lot of confidence that there's going to be the change that is needed. But at the same time, he has also created a little bit of solidity, which some people cling on based on how we saw Pirlo finish the season. But there's been a lot. People still continue to say you simply cannot excuse the fact that you lose a goal scorer like Cristiano Ronaldo. There's a lot to it. I still, everybody in terms of this, Romeo Gresti coming out this morning as well and saying basically that Max, he cannot see a scenario where he's not here beyond this season. Like, he just can't see it. So get ready for Max having another season. To be honest, you just can't do the same thing and hire a new manager and then get behind there. Like, let's try and correct some of the issues we have on the roster before looking beyond that. Whether we like how it takes place, numerically, statistically, the points are there in the second half of the season. And if you take away that first half of the first handful of games where Juve started off extremely slow out of the gate, Vlahovic only coming in January. I mean, his numbers aren't that bad. There's a lot of people saying, obviously, we could be doing better with him. I understand those criticisms. I think they're fair. But statistically, it hasn't been completely awful for Vlahovic in terms of contributions and whatnot. So we just have to be a little patient, I think. Let's wait to see what the summer cooks up and whatnot. Do you have anything to add to that, Omer?
Yeah, to Jeremiah's point, I can see what he's saying and I can agree with it. It's hard to be positive after everything we've seen that season. How many times have we been positive and they failed us? Just being realistic, the team doesn't play good football and gets dominated pretty easily, not only by big teams, but by smaller teams. And even if Fiorentina, for example, has more wins against the top four sides than Juve, although we beaten Fiorentina twice this season, they've beaten Inter, they've beaten Napoli, they had some great games. So I get why I'm not that positive either. It's 50-50, it can go either way. Yeah. Having said that, in relation to Max's pressers, and just take it all with a pinch of salt, because social media is a lot of people overanalyzing a statement made by people who didn't analyze it at all. Max finished the game, someone shoved the mic in his face, we lost or drew, he was angry, he said something, and then people take every word of what he said and analyze it. Oh, but there's this and there's that. He didn't think about what he said as much as people who analyze it think about
Yeah.
it. So take it with a pinch of salt. It doesn't always mean exactly what he said. Just an odd situation for him.
Yeah.
Uh,
And we've got our man Frankie coming in here, joining
What
hot.
up? What?
There we
Yeah.
go.
oh,
Coming in hot.
Yes.
Frankie, we had a little bit of discussions here. Number one, our condolences to Arthur's family. Apparently,
Oh
he's
my God.
dead. My God, what a thing to
Wait.
say.
Okay. You cannot say that in a press conference like that. My God, especially I. Okay, Max is like that uncle who thinks he's funny, but he's not, and he's chooses the worst of times to do the jokes. Like in the funeral of a family member, he goes out and does a joke. Right now, we're not for joking. Right now, we're gonna
Well, I
face.
mean, is there ever a good time to joke about a player being dead? Like,
No, but if you are winning, if you are right now about to be crowned Italy champions and you are in the Champions League final, then you can do those kind of things. If Jurgen Klopp does a joke right now, nobody's saying
yeah.
nothing.
And we had to
But
bring Frankie in this as the expert because I mean the man has done stand-up
stand-up
comedy,
comedian.
comedy. So Frankie is
I-
our resident expert on this situation. So he says that and blew me away. But we were talking a bit about Coppa Italia and the importance and a lot of people brushing it off. He was actually, I did agree with Max's statement. If you win it, people downplay it and they don't care. But if you lose it, it's a failure. So we were kind of giving our thoughts on that. We're starting to get into the feelings of a lot of these fans, and we're seeing it come through in the live chat, and you see it all over social media. There's a very, very big lack of confidence in this team. There's a lot of question marks surrounding Max Allegri. We were talking a bit about at some point you just have to commit to a manager and correct that roster and then look beyond that. Romeo Agresti came out today saying, look, he does not see a situation where Max is not here next season. Let's get your thoughts on kind of the Coppa Italia, the importance and the significance, and then Max being here next year.
well, Coppa Italia is a complicated subject, obviously, because when you have won as many titles as we have won consecutively, you start to forget the importance of these kind of titles. You're focused on winning the league, you're focused on advancing on Champions League, but there's a reality that was a different Juventus. We're now a different team, and we cannot just don't try to win a title when we're not winning the league right now. We're eliminated from Champions League. So this title becomes very important, and more than for the history of the club, because obviously it's a title, but it's more about finishing the season in a good way. Uh, Given the players that will return, a lot of players will return next year, the confidence that they can win things. And Max knows it. Obviously, he's saying this to take away some of the pressure of the players, because it's true what he said. If Juventus don't win, it's a big deal. If Juventus wins it, then it's a big deal. Oh my God! Oh, what happened? That Max has you bad.
On the edge. On the edge.
Come on now.
Knocking
Don't-
microphones around.
I know you didn't like the joke, but that's
Wow.
that's not the way to react. He
My
didn't talk about your
apologies, everybody.
he didn't talk about your family, man. He was talking about Arthur.
Whew. Nervous
Okay.
twitch, maybe from PTSD of the
Yeah.
whole Allegri
Oh my
thing.
About watching the possible midfield for today's game. That's a
Oh,
really
man.
oh my God.
Okay.
Well,
Man, I really rile people up with that projected lineup.
yeah.
Oh yeah, so that projected lineup. I mean, this kind of plays into some of these questions that I'm seeing in the
Yeah,
live
we'll
chat
get to it.
too, because you see here, where is it here? To patience for how long though? Because my limit is January next year. Let's see how much we improve. Well,
No.
I think when I look at it, patience for how long? It has to start with one Mercado for a manager. Sarri didn't get it. Pirlo didn't get it. Let's at least start with just one Mercado. And then let's just see. There's a lot of, I look at this roster and I see such a lack of variety in the players and the skills and abilities that are available to certain managers. And when you look at this projection is a prime example. Yes, you have injuries. Does Max do himself any favors by not trusting guys based on their age too? That's a whole different scenario, which we've been covering quite well over the past week or so, because the young guy discussion continues to wage on with Max, and essentially, yeah, he's not doing himself any favors there. But I still see a lack of variety in terms of the players and their traits and abilities that we have there. So I think we need at least patience for one Mercado, see what develops there, and if the team can kind of make a swing there. I'm not saying let Max run his contract out by any means, but we have to give one of these managers a Mercado. We absolutely have to, when we can all agree that the roster lacks some firepower. How many times have we gone in with rosters, lineups, and we're looking at this and saying you can already pinpoint where the issues are going to be, and that's how it plays out. It's like you can see it. You can see it before it even happens. And the sad thing is, a lot of in quite a few games, he hasn't had the opportunity or the options to really prevent that from happening. Like you got a Moise Keane as an alternative that's done absolutely nothing since he's come back, whether it's Max's fault or not. Regardless, he hasn't been able to find anything in his game outside of one match I can think of where it was actually looking good. And now the team is working with Mino Raiola to get him out. And because he literally is here for another season on a loan before we get into any kind of criteria on extending whatnot. They're trying to get out. Raspadori seems to be the one they want in when he goes, whether that's right or wrong anyways. But you look at this roster, Artur, the fans' frustration with Artur continue, and it is what it is. Rabiot, a lock in the lineup. Max loves him. I'm starting to have doubts whether or not he's going to move, but you look at this roster, you don't have a natural winger. Chiesa's been hurt. Cuadrado is probably our most natural winger. That's it for natural wingers. You've had to use Morata out on a side and whatnot, and that in its own creates some issues. There's a lot going on. So I think while I agree 1000% with everybody in their criticisms of Max, I had roster issues last season with Pirlo, and I continue to have roster issues this season. I had roster issues under Sarri, for God's sakes, and some of them are still around. I think we can't deny that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we always need to have a scapegoat, especially in midfield. Every year you go back, it was Khedira, then it was Pjanic, then Matuidi, before that Sturaro and Lamina, and now it was Ramsey, then Rabiot, and now it's Arthur. Because
My God.
the rest, we always have this. Every football fan has this against players from his team. It's fine. It's not something weird. Look, I said before, if I'll change Max only if there's a really better option available. Like if Zidane wants to come or Klopp is suddenly available, then fine. Besides that, I wouldn't try a new coach, a new system that isn't proven at those levels. And yes, I agree, he should get at least one Mercato. And the problem is that for me and for a lot of fans, patience is like the hardest thing to have in football. You want your team to succeed now, and you don't have the patience for a project, especially when your team is supposed to be the best and it's domestic league and should win almost every game. then waiting for a 2 year, 3 year project is frustrating and hard as hell. I won't downplay it and say it's easy. So we're sort of caught between two minds, and we know what we want, and we know that what we actually need is not possible in one or even two mercados. So it's just battling with patience for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Frankie, you got anything to add?
Yeah, and I don't think that is gonna be only until January. He gets if he starts the season, he's gonna finish the season. I'm talking about next season, but because that's the Juventus way. We're not a team that changes managers in the middle of the season. It has to be very, very bad to see a coach go out and generate.
Yeah.
No, none of us want that,
But
frankly.
that's the question: what is very bad in your opinion?
Next season, bad.
This season, even.
Mm,
Like, what's the threshold, I guess?
you have to be very out of the race of the top four. But I'm not talking this season bad. I'm talking more looking down to Serie B than to Serie A, kind of bad. To for is that true? Because we were down, we were out of the top four this season until we made that winter push and we started playing better and we got into the top four. But it has to be very bad to see, especially Max with the history that he has and and the contract because it's that's a factor. That's it was easy to get rid of Pirlo because he didn't have a big contract, but Max has a big contract. So probably I would give him another season. And frankly, I don't see other coaches, clear cut coaches that we can uh, just get because all the coaches are already involved with other teams. All the Juventus coaches or Juventus caliber coaches. Uh, Give me names to coaches. I do know the name I'm gonna give you, and it's not gonna happen. So uh, probably somebody is gonna say Vincenzo Italiano, but Vincenzo Italiano is not gonna leave Fiorentina in the middle of a season. So that's the thing for me. It's not only
Vincenzo Italiano is under contract until 2023. So maybe Max gets one more season and Vincenzo comes in. I don't know about Vincenzo Italiano
nah.
joining Juventus. And
I don't think.
not to discredit him for the work he's done and whatnot, but I always feel like it's a big change. And when you see, I always had doubts with Gasparini. Remember how many people wanted Gasparini coming to Juventus, It's a whole different ballgame when you are coaching a team where the expectations are significantly below the level of Juve's expectations. And we've seen firsthand, even during a rebuilding process, Juve's expectations remain. It's like they just don't go away. When we've seen some of the other top clubs go into rebuilding phases and become completely irrelevant for long periods of time. Juventus' worst season in 10 years still saw them take the Supercoppa and the Coppa Italia, and fans wanted more. Everybody wanted more. It's just, that's the way it is. So when I think about a coach like Vincenzo Italiano or any of these other guys that are getting into it, he's 44, 45 years old.
Just young.
And you've coached at teams that have had little as far as the expectations go. I mean, getting Fiorentina, if he could, into like a Europa spot or whatnot is big. It's big,
It's
massive. But to pile on everything that is Juventus, would he be the guy in terms of how he sees the game and how he wants the teams to play? I like it, but I can't help but have my reservations when it comes to the expectations. But at some point, it's kind of the same as what we're asking with players. Because if we're saying that young guys are ready and they're ready for the test and whatnot, are we going to do the same thing with managers and only look to the experienced guys? Is the game ever going to evolve for Juventus if they don't do the same thing with coaches? And when last year we have Pirlo and now Max, who I was told would have easily won Serie A last season if he was in charge.
No.
And then I was told that this year, and I even felt for it myself, thinking, hey, you know what? Juve's going to be right up there, right at the gate. They're going to be top two, like battling all season. Now we're starting to see statistically, Pirlo had a lot of numbers in his favor. I start to look back and wonder, my Lord, how did Pirlo create so many opportunities with that midfield? Like it's kind of wild to me that I start to think about this, how he was able to create so much. Did it come off the rails a bit towards the end? Yes. But statistically, he had a way better record against the top four sides than Max does. Max has no wins against the top four sides. Max needs to win every single league game from here on out to tie Pirlo's point total from last year. So do we really need to be scared about taking a shot at a Vincenzo Italiano?
That's very curious what you say. He needs to win every game to take a toll to tie the points that Pirlo made last season. Max is very lucky that the Serie A in general, the big teams in Serie A, they all have stumbled, you can say. And they don't have performed as good, because last season, if it was the same, the teams were playing the same way that they played last season, we're not going to make top four. We were not going to make top four. We barely make top four last season. That's a very good point that you made, and you were talking about evolving coaches. My question to you guys and to everybody watching is: you are seeing continuously the evolution of football going through those German coaches? Is those are the coaches that are right now being asked to coach more, obviously, because they're the school of thought, the Gegenpress, and all that. Do you ever think that Juventus will actually get a coach like that at one moment? Because I frankly, maybe just me, but I see Juventus always going for the Italian coach because they know Serie A, and I don't see them taking that step, maybe risking in the future, let's say, not Jurgen Klopp, but Tuchel is available. I don't see Juventus going for that coach, for Tuchel, Nagelsmann, that kind of coach. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I don't see it either. Let's get Omar's thoughts on this whole.
Yeah, it's sort of an like Italian pride. It's not only a Juve thing. Like how many teams have had coaches who are not Italian in Serie A, and the German coaches have a very specific way of playing. That's the way they learn how to manage in their coaching academy, all the gegenpressing and stuff. And it took over the world by storm. It came after Pep's tiki-taka, and everyone tried to play that type of game. Even Pep, when he was at Bayern, when everyone was gegenpressing, he was still trying to pull out those tiki-taka game. It didn't work out as well as it worked in Barcelona. But I ask you a different question. Like you mentioned Max's salary, and he makes a lot more money than Pirlo did. Does the expectations come? Do you pay him the salary to what he's going to achieve or what he's already achieved? Because if it was just, he kept on managing Juve and didn't go on a 2-year hiatus, then yes, you get money for your performances. If you performed well, you get a bigger salary. But right now, you pay him the most out of all the Serie A managers. Do you expect more from him than you expected from Pirlo? considering his salary was 1.8, which was less than most of Juve team.
I expected more in the sense of experience, but I didn't expect to have a big change in the position that we were gonna get up. My position from the beginning of the season was the same: get the top four, and then we keep building towards the future. It was
Yeah.
never. Now we have Max. Now it means that we're gonna be champions. Now it doesn't work like that, and I knew he needed time. Uh, the money, from a fan's perspective, is not is not the thing that gives pressure to Max or starts those big expectations, because frankly fans are not watching this, are not looking into the, oh, he has a big salary, that means he needs to perform. No.
But should we?
Should we? Yes, because at the end of the day, yes, and not only for the money, but because of the experience and the amount of success that Max had in the past. We have to say it. He has been a champion, and but the situation not last season was different, because it was a mix of, we didn't have a good management. It was the reality. I gave a lot of breaks to Paratici last season, and now that I'm seeing a plan or sort of organization in the team, now I look back and I say, maybe I give too much break to Paratici in the past. Frankly, I'll say it. I was one of his biggest defenders, because I was always saying, oh, but he has to work with what Marotta left. But Marotta left and went to build up something very good on Inter. We have seen the management right now working towards a plan, and frankly, Paratici didn't do what he had to do. That's the thing. And we were in a mix last season between bad management, expectations, and frankly doing dirty a new coach, because I don't know what the people were thinking that Pirlo was going to do. He hadn't. It's not that he had a little experience; he had no experience, and we saw Max as the savior, the guy with experience, the guy that we know, the last guy that really won with us. So we say, let's go back safe. Let's go back to the guy we know. Now we have to stick with the guy, because frankly, if we keep changing, that's not going to help us.
Yeah.
So it's not about the money only.
Yeah, and money is built of opportunities. If there's an opportunity for a better manager, then I'll go for it.
This question here is from Jeremiah. Do you feel Allegri has underperformed this season, being the highest paid manager in Serie A? Real quick, all of our thoughts, just real quick answers for me. I can't say 100% that yes, he's underperformed, because he has navigated through some difficult scenarios in terms of the team's fitness and whatnot, and continued to get wins. And there was an opportunity for us to really, really get in tight for that top spot. Like, there was the opportunity there. So he had this team within that striking distance throughout all these injuries. However, we've also seen us play much, much better in certain matches, and we never carried it forth. And he kind of went away from that setup as well. That's kind of a shortcoming, but in one of our best overall performances, we didn't get the result. So if we played in that manner, does it automatically equate to top results? No, that's speculation too. It's easier on the eyes for us to watch and to believe, yeah, we would be a better side if we played that way, but I don't really know. Can we say he's underperformed this season? I think it's really, really close, teetering on the edge of saying he's underperformed, because those expectations that you guys just covered brilliantly, based on the experience, based on the money he's making, you expect a big, big difference regardless of the roster. Don't throw Cristiano at me. Don't throw Chiesa, especially because Chiesa was almost not involved at the start of the season before he got injured, and Max was not getting the best out of him. I don't want to hear that. You expect better. You just have higher expectations naturally for a guy making that much more money than Pirlo, And regardless of the roster, you expect better. That said, he had us at a point striking distance. I don't think he's completely underperformed, but he's definitely more on that side of the scale, if I have to be honest. But not completely underperformed, but a
Don't
little bit more
tiptoe.
than that.
Don't
You guys, real
tiptoe.
quick before we get to the trivia.
Don't start
Yeah.
dancing on me, Al. Come on now. Say it. Say it.
No, no.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe I'm even leaning more towards underachieved just because, even for Pirlo, Chiesa didn't really kick off until January. Like he had a goal here and assist there, but January is where it really burst onto the scene. And so I just didn't expect too much from Pirlo. And I did expect a lot from Allegri. Like here, if I was on Juve's management, here you get 12 million a season. That's your salary. But anything past challenging for the Scudetto, quarterfinal Champions League is a failure, in my opinion, because I pay you. If you say to me that you can't do it, fine, I'll pay you 6 million, and the expectations are lower. That that's why I think he's a bit underperforming, especially worst home record in a decade. And even some of the injuries, the training injuries, are he's the manager. He dictates the training routine. So it's you could have seen by January there is a problem with the training, and we get a lot of injuries, and nothing has changed. So he still has a hand in that. It's not all his fault. And like we covered in the previous episode, some of the faults go to the players as well. It's not all Max. But so far, because of him or not because of him, he's underperforming at the moment for me. I didn't expect him to win, but there are plenty of opportunities to challenge for that third and second spot too.
There you go, Frankie.
He did underperform. He has underperformed. There's no we're Juventus. We have a standard. I do understand there is a factor that we don't have the players that we used to, and that's fine. But I personally never lowered the standard. And probably frankly he'll say it himself. He did underperform. The team underperformed. Uh, and when you take into consideration that Pirlo last season had a worse roster because he had a worse roster, that's the reality of the situation. We we underperform because we're not gonna get more points than last season. That's not gonna happen. That's impossible. We're frankly probably going to get less because I don't see us winning all the games throughout the remainder of the season. So yes, we did underperform. Does that mean he should be? We should get another coach? No, no, that's a different discussion. But if we're talking about expectation from an experienced coach, that's the key, guys. Experienced coach who has played in different levels of the Italian football. He wasn't always the Juventus coach. He did play with Milan, and he played with other sides that didn't have that big expectation. But when you have that experience, I do expect more of you. And there were times where Max, many times, too many times when we were up here discussing, and you guys brilliantly were saying, "What the hell is Max doing?" Too many times. So at the end of the day, that's what I say he underperformed.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I think he's teetering on that edge for sure. And it's just, it is the way it is. Eric's got a comment here about he does not think wages for a coach should have any bearing on the quality or expectations. If management wants to pay $1 million a week, that's between the club and the coach. I think the wage is playing too much a role if the season has been a failure success, and it shouldn't, in my opinion. I don't necessarily agree. That's just a natural thing, not just in sports, in the work environment. You have higher expectations if you're pulling in more bank. That's bottom line. Cristiano Ronaldo is not going to enter a season with the same expectations as Moise Kean. It's just not going to happen. That is a natural part of this process. So Max being paid the most in Serie A, you expect him to have better results in terms of points, in terms of where we fall, than a guy like Pirlo did. You expect him to do more with the roster based on his experience, which again is what dictates that high wage. So,
Exactly.
of course, it's all relative. So it's a frustrating one. It's a frustrating one. But let's
And
have some fun. What's
even in
that?
sports, the work environment in sport is weird because it's almost the only place where the guy in charge makes less than the people who work beneath him. Like Ronaldo made almost 25 times more than what Pirlo made, and but the expectations, like you said, are come with the salary. If you can't justify the salary you're being paid, then you don't deserve that salary. Period.
Yeah,
And the players do us also. If you, what's the problem with Rabio? That he's our highest paid midfielder, and he's considered the
Yeah,
worst.
yeah. If Rabiot would have been paid 2 million a season, there
Nobody
were.
would nobody would say nothing. If
I wouldn't
Rabio
say nobody, but he wouldn't get the slander he gets today.
no, but nobody will be screaming from him to go out because he doesn't. If you get a guy getting paid 1 million, 2 million euros a year, and he's doing what Rabio is doing, what the comments would be? Maybe he shouldn't start. That's also, but he can be a rotation guy. That's good. But you're not paying him to be a rotation guy. You're paying him to be the best midfielder, which he's not,
it's
eh,
true.
which he's not. But you're paying him that. What's the problem with Cristiano?
The
The
pay structure
the pay,
definitely affects the expectations.
of
Like
course.
it absolutely does. And look at what has been said as of late. Rabiot's a prime example. He's always fit. He's always fit. He's always available. But and Allegri always constantly uses him. But what do they say? What are all these reports leading up saying? It's the contract that is his killer because you cannot say that he is worthy of that amount of
Of
money.
money. The same
And
with Sandro.
it's all relevant. And when you take a coach, he's in that same ballpark, okay? You have high expectations. Being the highest paid manager in Serie A, there comes a territory with that money, and there's no way around it. You could try to dance around that all you want. It's just not going to amount to anything. He has expectations because number one, the only reason his salary is up there is because of the experience, and it makes sense. You've got this experience, you've got this history with him. You're one of these highly touted managers, so yeah. Don't tell me that because he makes this money we can't hold him to certain expectations. Hell, we held Pirlo to the same expectations, and the guy made 1 million euros. Don't tell me that now all of a sudden we need to give the guy making 10 or whatever less expectations. That's garbage. That's garbage. No, not
And
for a
with a
chance.
better roster. And with a better roster.
Regardless of roster, don't tell me that a guy making 10 million because of his experience, because of all this, I was told was going to do significantly better. Don't tell me we have to lower the expectations for him
Yeah,
and
no,
we
we
should
don't.
not factor in what we're paying him. I'm not going to buy that. You can try and sell that all day. I'm not going to buy it. Now, let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. Let's get into some trivia. Omar's always ready. The birds
Oh,
behind Omar are ready. Okay. They were making a lot of chirping there the other day. Francisco, get ready for this one. I've got about 4 or 5 questions, some of them very, very difficult in terms of Fiorentina and Juventus.
oh my
They
God.
have 186 matches played. Okay. What is Juventus's winning percentage against Fiorentina out of 186 matches? I just need the winning percentage.
Oh, winning percentage.
Yes.
I'll,
What
Se-
I'll
percentage of
go
those were
with
wins?
I'll go with like 40%, 40,
40% from Omar.
42
Francisco.
maybe.
40%, Omar? You're
Yeah,
killing us.
because Fiorentina are a good team and we have a lot of history with them. And
You're
let's be
killing us.
honest, it's
Look at
winning
this.
against drawing and losing.
55,
It's percentage.
67,
I'm going
68.
I'm going 70. I'm gonna do what the chat always does. They go one above. I'm gonna
But
70.
Remember, you with me. We're together in this against the chat.
But exactly. That's why
Okay.
I'm sacrificing my pick in order to win. We're gonna
Okay.
win.
I
Francisco,
think
what was
we
yours?
lost.
70. You
I
go.
think we
Winning-
lost and
The
drew.
winning percentage was 47%.
You won, Omar. See,
Of course,
went
we
low.
lost,
47%
drew
because you
more
got to
than we
factor
won.
in draws. You have to factor in the
course.
losses and whatnot.
But-
But yeah, 47.3% wins.
strategy, Omar. You go high, I go low. I go low, you go high.
Roberto Baggio.
Okay.
Roberto Baggio was transferred at the time for the highest transfer fee in 1990-91, leaving Fiorentina to come to Juventus. What was the transfer fee in euros?
Okay. I think before that Maradona was the highest
Yes.
transfer ever, and I think it was 5.5, something like that. So I think it's like 7 million, if I remember correctly. Maybe Maradona was 7 and Baggio
no.
was 10, but I think 7 is the correct
No,
answer.
I think it was 8. It was 8. I think it was 8 million.
Okay,
Look at this,
I'm
12,
sticking to 7.
17,
Oh, we lost this one, Mo. The guys on the chat are googling this.
8 million.
Oh, come on, Jeremiah.
Hey, I was very clear. Euros.
8 million.
I think 7.
In euros, it was 12.9.
Oh
Wow.
my God! Wow.
In
That's
euros,
far off.
12.9 million was that transfer fee for Roberto Baggio.
So I was far
And it's
off.
funny to think now in terms of transfers.
And we paid 20 for Moise.
See, you wanted like 40 million for Raspadori.
12.9 back then got you Roberto
So-
Baggio. 12.9 now gets you a bag of
And
match balls.
Maradona was like 8 million. You're getting Maradona.
So those were pounds, I'm pretty sure. So like, because this would have it would have been less than that for Maradona because 7 million pounds, I believe, would have equated to the 12.9 million euros for Baggio. So somewhere
Yeah,
in there.
we have to
but,
remember it was before the Bosman transfer, so the rules were a bit different.
if you guys can get this one, this would be epic. Which
Okay.
player transferred from Juventus to Fiorentina in 04-05 for 7 million euros and then from Fiorentina back to Juve in 05-06 for 2 million euros?
Ooh.
So
I
in
can-
04-05, he went from Juve to Fiorentina and 05-06 back. And there's a transfer fee involved both times.
It could be either Chiellini, Balzaretti,
No.
Adrian Muto, maybe.
No.
None of the three.
None of those.
Oh my God.
And it is not Delivio, Jeremiah, not Delivio.
From
Oliveira?
Juve to Fiorentina. Stefan Appia. No, he didn't play for Fiorentina.
This is a really, really hard one.
No, I don't have a clue.
Yeah. Was he?
don't
Was
have
he
a
a bench warmer at Juve or
Not
did he play?
Caceres.
I was gonna say
He
Chiellini.
never hit the heights people expected.
Okay, that's a good.
He was a
hint.
pretty skilled, talented player, but it never amounted to what it should have.
Fabrizio Micoli. No, he was
Micoli.
earlier. Micoli. Seriously?
Micoli. Yeah.
Okay.
Micoli was the guy that transferred from Juve to Fiorentina 04-05, 7 million transfer fee, and then back
He
for
was-
2 million.
It was in Palermo also, right?
Afterwards.
Oh, he was a bad man in Palermo. I remember
Yeah.
there was a game against Milan, and he scored a hat trick, and he did no, it wasn't a hat trick. He went all the game trying to score a free kick. Probably in the 70th minute, he scored the best free kick you'll see in the world. It was God.
Yeah. Later, he was involved with the mafia. And
Yeah.
he had
Oh
some
my God.
charges. Yeah, he had an awful
Micoli,
end during his
was
career.
it Palermo where he was lights out? Was it
Yeah.
Palermo? Oh,
Palermo,
man.
Yeah.
Palermo.
Yeah, he
Jeez.
played
And
with
who-
Samari and Pastore and Cavani. He had a lot of
Yeah,
good
with
players.
Cavani.
Equally with Palermo was an animal. He was an
But,
animal.
but that Palermo team was nasty.
Now,
Like
Yeah, I agree.
Fiorentina and Juventus.
Oh my God.
This matchup, 186 matches. It's currently tied with 2 other clubs. After today's match, Fiorentina will surpass them by 1. Who are the 2 other clubs that also have 186 matches between Juventus and themselves?
Wow, did we cover one of them last time? Like in the last pod?
I don't know. We've done it way back.
No, because there was a similar question for Bologna, and I remember the numbers being sort of similar. So how much is it? 186 and
186 matches.
I want to say the teams that I'm thinking they are way above. I think they're above that. So
Animesh has said Bologna.
Yeah, Bologna was like 4th spot with 180 something. Maybe Genoa.
Anthony saying Bologna and Genoa. You guys have all gotten 1. Bologna is 1. Who is the
Yes.
other?
he's playing Serie A right now.
It's not Udinese and Sampdoria. Sampdoria has quite a few matches with Juventus.
He's playing.
Maybe Roma.
He's playing on Serie A. The
Not
team
Roma.
is playing on Serie A.
Yes,
Yes.
Lazio.
Lazio.
Come on.
I
Lazio's
gave it
the
away
one.
after I asked about Roma. I gave it away.
I asked this question against Bologna. It backfired tremendously. It was how many wins for Juventus in the last 10 matches.
Oh
We
my
had
God.
10 wins
No.
against Bologna. I'm going to ask you the same question against Fiorentina. How many wins for Juventus in the past 10?
I think
Oh
8 or
my God.
9. There was the 3-0 loss.
Oh my God.
last
That's the
season.
first. That's the first thing that came to my mind. That
Yeah, it was a horrible
3-0
game.
loss. Oh my God. Horrible.
I'll go with 8.
I'll go 6.
8 and 6.
Yeah.
Mergen
I'll go-
coming in with 8. 7 from Swarit. Maybe he puts a little bit of doubt. 7 from Leo. 7
Look,
from Jeremiah.
Never stutter. Say it. 7.
It's 7.
Oh my
It's
God.
7. 7 wins. It's funny, that loss comes up for me. The first one that came up was that awful 0-0 draw. One of the worst games I've seen. Like, just brutal 0-0 draw. But that's it. 7 wins for Juventus in the last 10. That wraps up the a trivia portion. That was good stuff. Yeah, some interesting questions there. I like looking back at those old big transfers at 12 million euros, and you think today you're
Yeah.
like, Jesus,
But
come a
Zidane was
long way.
war breaking when he went to Real Madrid and it's like,
Now
man. I don't
let's
know.
let's get into it. We're gonna get into probable lineups for Juventus. The
Oh
probable
my
lineup we saw was Pedin in goal, De Sciglio, De Ligt, Bonucci, Sandro, Danilo, Zaccheria, Rabiot, Bernardeschi, Vlahovic, and Morata. That's the lineup. Fiorentina going into this thing in great form, actually. 4 wins in their last 5, 3 on the trot. They are making some noise. They can possibly get into one of those Europa spots. Juventus have brutal. Bologna and Italiano, though, not gotten a victory against Juventus as of yet. So what do we expect here? What are your thoughts on the lineup?
Wait. Yeah, the lineup. Sorry. I don't know if you guys hear me. Francisco?
Yeah, I'm here.
Is it
Ah.
only you and me?
Yeah, it's all you me. But let's continue. I'm with
Okay.
the host right now. Oh,
Hey. Whoa.
There you
oh my God!
Holy.
I was
There
going.
you are.
I was going to continue. I was going to be the host.
You could do it. Look,
Okay. I'll
what a
say it.
day. Internet kicks me out. I saved the day. I've smashed my mic thing. I've been holding it for like almost an hour here. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyways, let's get back to
Yeah.
it. My apologies, everybody.
Omer,
Perin,
you say your
Lucio,
lineup.
Delic, Bonucci, Sandro, Danilo, Zaccaria, Rabiot, Bernardeschi, Vlahovic, and Morata. Fiorentina, 4 wins in their last 5, 3 in a row. Juve coming off a brutal draw against Bologna. Italiano still searching for 1 victory against Juventus. How do we feel going into this one? And then we're going to get into predictions.
First of all, I want to say I'm the one who posted the lineup. Compared to what I saw, there wasn't any lineup posted before that. It was just 4-2 from Giovanni Albanese and the lineup from Romero Gresti. So I added 1+1. I hardly disagree. I won't put Rabiot on the left no matter what. So that's the way I saw the lineup, with Danilo on the right and Bernardeschi on the left. It might not be, lined up that way in the match, but what can I say? I'm not 100% positive, not at all. Like, we pretty much got dominated in the first leg and won through an own goal, an unlucky own goal. And even in the first game against Fiorentina, we weren't that good. They played well, they just didn't score, and we got the winner eventually. And looking back at some of those games, the Bologna's, Venezia's, Empoli's, just there's not a lot of reasons to be positive. Us and Fiorentina are basically the same level. We do have an advantage. I want to remind everyone that the away goal rule still counts in the Coppa Italia, so it's sort of an advantage. But I'm not all that positive, especially with this lineup. I hate 4-4-2, and I'll pass it on to Frank. You got my gist. I'm just not that positive.
That was
Frankie,
so
what are you
sad.
thinking?
It was so sad. Well, I'm not expecting Brazil from the 70th World Cup in 70. So, well, I think we're going to win, especially because of the pressure of getting that result. Getting that result in the first leg was so important. And I think we're going to win. The lineup, the problem I have with the lineup, because we have what we have, so it's not much room for improvement. But my only problem is having the seal on the right. I don't know this. At least if you have Rabiot on the left, not saying I like it, but at least he can try. I repeat, try to make those runs and try to cross the ball. Try, I say it again. It's yes, because it's not gonna happen. But you have the left-footed player on the left side who has pace and who can cross the ball if needed, or try to cross the ball. But the seal on the right, I just don't like that. I can work with having I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna win. I don't know how we're gonna win.
So the thing with this lineup is, if you look at it in multiple setups, it's still very, very unnatural. Like, the closest one I can get to make it look natural is
3-5-2.
potentially a 4-3-3, which Max just won't do. Okay, because you could go 4-3-3. Bernardeschi would end up having to go to the right side, and you would still be utilizing maybe if you use Danilo as a central midfielder with Rabiot and Zaccaria on either side of him. But I don't like that. But that would be the closest to a natural thing. Or 4-3-1-2, Bernardeschi just playing in that spot. Again, you still have this midfield that lacks a lot. It definitely, in terms of creation, offense-wise, this lineup is not showing where that creativity is going to come from. Those are the two closest scenarios that you could get to making this like somewhat natural, but it creates problems all over the pitch. Looking at this lineup, it's a defensive It's a defensive lineup. Let's be serious and straightforward. Like, it is a defensive lineup. A 3-5-2. People are saying a 3-5-2. If
Yeah, it's probably because
I
you can
mean,
play.
still very, very questionable 3-5-2 even. So I expect a grind. I'm not expecting an offensive showing from Juve, but you know, even if this was your game plan and people were saying 3-5-2, you're going to get your outsides crossing the ball in. In this setup, who are your targets going to be? You're going to have Vlahovic, Morata, and maybe one of those guys jumping in there. It's just not enough. I don't see this being offensive whatsoever. I would be very, very happy to be wrong. I don't see it. I don't see it. In terms
But
of the
this,
youngsters, in terms of getting Moretti involved,
No, that's not
would that
going to
make a
happen.
big difference? I mean, it's a natural midfielder, not going to make a huge difference. Sule, though, could potentially be required if you wanted to play a 4-3-3, get a winger out there, somebody that could play on the wing, somebody that could take guys on 1v1. I don't know. But this lineup screams defense first and go
yeah,
from there.
the
We will
Question
try
mark.
to smash and grab a goal, but he's gonna protect that one. He's gonna protect
Oh,
that
for
one
sure.
that one goal lead going into this one. We know that's what's gonna happen. It's if you see it as fearful, you know, agree with Al. This is my problem with Allegri. He plays with fear, and that fear infects the team. I've been saying recently that all these clubs, all these teams, they're reflections of their managers and their beliefs and whatnot. And that comes through in the players, and it comes through in the on game day and everything like that. It always has. And Max is pragmatic. Eric had a comment earlier on that said one of Max's detriments is also one of his biggest assets, and it's the fact that he's pragmatic. Sometimes it comes in handy. It used to quite a bit. Different time, different roster, different league, different everything. Now so much it's more on the frustrating end of it, but we will see. He's looking to protect this one. That's what I get out of this roster. Injuries, all this, it's pretty safe. What alternatives do you think were there for him to do something differently? What would you have done?
look,
Real quick
there
before
are
we get to predictions. That's my last question for you guys. What would you have done differently lineup wise today?
look, there are a lot of red flags all over this lineup, and maybe this just tells the story of Juventus season. Is no set system, no identity. This is not the time to try out new things, new position. If you want to integrate youngsters, it's easier when you have a set system and just throw them in there. So another game where we get something that we've never seen before, especially in this season. I don't see it playing to our advantages, but there's a different team involved, and their style of play is also should be taken into consideration. So, to answer your question, what would I have done differently? I would have kept the sort of 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 that we had in the past couple of games, even with the absentees, at least something where the players know where they need to be and what they need to do, and then they can grow on it. If Danilo plays one game as a CDM, then as a Metzala, then as a right back, even for the experienced guys, it's tougher to get used to it and create, momentum and a few games of good performances.
Yeah.
So I would have stuck to our previous formation, and that's it. Run it out to the end of the season.
Yeah. And I said that in my tweet in regards to the lineup when you posted it, Omer, is that we played arguably our best in a long time in a 4-2-3-1, and we didn't go back to it. You're lacking midfielders. You only need two for that one. And I was pleasantly surprised by how Rabiot and Zakaria worked together against Inter. Wouldn't be scared to do it in this one, 4-2-3-1. Bernardeschi can get in there. Morata can stay there. Vlahovic up top. You do have to bring in somebody else, probably Dybala, to be at the central role in that three, just behind Vlahovic. Or you throw Berna there, and you have to utilize one of Quadrado or Dybala in this one, to be honest. And then from there, you can rotate the younger guys in the second half. But I would be doing the 4-2-3-1. I'm with you on that one. Frankie, your last thoughts before predictions. What would you have done?
I agree with you guys. I would have go for 2-3-1, but if not going that route, you could probably try to do the. It hurts me to say it, but the 4-4-2, and playing on with two Morata and obviously Vlahovic as strikers. Then you put Berna on the right midfielder, giving him the freedom just to move to the central position. You put Cuadrado as a right back because I think that's his best position, right back, and he can cross ball if needed. He stretches the defense on that right side, and then on the left side, I probably will have to try to go with Pellegrini as a left back. He can play, if I'm not mistaken, because of the yellow card. If he could play, try to put Pellegrini and maintain that three-man midfield with the wingbacks giving them the crossing route and trying to maintain that number 10 with Berna, because I think he played very good when he had the freedom to play on that 10 role. He did play good last year. So that's probably an option, but go with what you know, man. 4-2-3-1, and don't get creative right now.
I think it would have been the way to go, but we'll see what happens. Guys, we're going to do predictions as we wrap things up. Everybody in the live, jump on, put your predictions in the live chat, follow along. I'm going to pick one of you. I'm going to be taking them down. I'm not going to tell you who it is, though. You're going to have to find out tomorrow on the podcast if we used your predictions and if you won the sticker package from Striped Arts Apparel. So without further ado, guys, offsides. Omer, total offsides Juventus.
4.
4 for Omar. Frankie.
3.
3. I'm going 3 as well. Possession split.
Don't start copying me out. Come on,
Stay out of this. Possession
He
split.
always done this. He's always doing this.
He's always doing that, and then he claims victory like he did it first. Don't do that. You're a cheater.
Possession split.
Oh, I think 56-44 Fiorentina.
What was it? Sorry, 50?
56-44.
I'll go
56 for Fiorentina for him. Omar.
No, Frankie.
Oh, yeah, Frankie.
I'm going 60-40 Fiorentina.
60-40. I'm going 58 for Fiorentina. See how I just slide in there, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's it.
Total shots and
no
how many
credit,
on
no
target.
nothing.
No credit, no nothing. Just don't get nothing.
9-4.
9
Oh
and
my
4.
God, you're killing us, Omer.
We're going to a defensive
Frankie.
game. You said it yourself.
Frankie.
I'll go 12-10. Fiorentina with 12. I don't say it's gonna be good shots.
Total attempts for Juventus. How many on target?
Okay. Up on the target. Oh,
how many total attempts and how many on target?
Okay. Total attempts 10.
Okay.
On target, probably 6.
6. Okay. I'm gonna go with 12. No.
Copying
10.
Omer.
11.
Oh.
11
my
attempts. 11 attempts.
God.
4 on target.
You see? It's not just me. I said it at the beginning, and he was he's doing it. He's gonna claim victory then.
You learned that
score.
from Anthony.
Halftime score. You
You
want me to go first? Halftime score?
No,
please.
1-0 Fiorentina.
1-0 Fiorentina.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, no.
Man, I always bet on Juve winning, and it doesn't work out well. So I'm changing.
Omar, what's your halftime score?
I already
Omer?
said mine, Frankie.
I already said it.
I didn't get it though.
Ah,
1-0 Fiorentina.
1-0
Same.
Fiorentina. Same as mine. Okay. Frankie.
0-0.
0-0 and 1-0 Fiorentina. Full-time score. My full-time 1-1.
Nah.
2-1 Fiorentina.
Oh, come on. Omer,
Ooh.
you're killing us.
Ooh. At least
I'm
mine
sorry,
still
man.
sees us through.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
man.
come on.
First of all, I would rather get knocked out by Fiorentina in the semis than by Inter in the final.
Yeah.
Oh
Frankie.
no, I want to go to the final.
Frankie, full-time.
I'll go. I'll go 1-0 Juventus.
Okay. And I've got ooh. This one I'm taking is a spicy prediction from this live chat guest there. Now, let's go. Goal scorers. We've got 2, 1, 1, 1. So, Omar, you need 2 goal scorers for Juve. You're muted.
Yeah, I need
2 goals
one.
scored.
I said 2-1 Fiorentina. I think Morata.
So,
will
1.
score.
Sorry, 1.
Morata.
Omar, who's your Frankie? Sorry, who's your 1 goal scorer?
Dusan.
Dusan. Vlahovic is my goal scorer as well. I'll check everybody's lives. Guys,
Come on now.
that pretty much wraps it up. Good show. A hell of a lot happened. Internet cut out on Anthony. We lost him. Internet cut out on me. Lost me. I got back in there. Busted my mic stand. A lot happened. But it was a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody who joined the live. Guys, like the video, okay? And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Everybody, you're going to get a chance to win this. One lucky subscriber will be getting this, okay? So let's get in there, show some love. Thank you to everybody who already has, okay? We'll be back tomorrow morning recapping this match, hopefully recapping Juventus stamping their place in the Coppa Italia final, okay? Everybody enjoy the match. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time for a live podcast. I need to figure out what I'm going to do here because I can't hold this thing for another hour tomorrow morning. So we'll figure that one out. Thanks, everybody, again. Till tomorrow, fino alla fina, forza Juve. Let's go reach the Coppa Italia final. Ciao tutti.